Hey fellow enthusiasts, this is TommyLanham and I am on a mission to break the monotony of the mundane and the mediocre in as many businesses, ministries, marriages, and individual lives as I possibly can. Hey, if you want to know what I think is the most important secret to a great relationship, then this video is for you.
Here we go.
Somebody asked me the other day what I thought was the most important secret to a great relationship. Well, I don't know that there's just one secret, but if I had to pick just one, this would be it. Communication. Being able to communicate, especially in a marriage relationship, which is what he was insinuating with the question, the ability to communicate with your spouse is amazing. It helps to put everything else in place in your marriage. So if you can learn to better communicate with your spouse, you can have a better relationship in every regard. Now, my wife and I, about 4 years ago, discovered a communication tool that has transformed our marriage. It's 6 simple steps to having great communication with your spouse. Okay? This tool is called Dialogue. We learned it at a retreat about 4 years ago, and it is amazing. Here are the steps. Step 1, question. The two of you agree on a question to answer. Typically, the question will address something in your relationship or relationships in general, but not always. Sometimes they can be more general questions. But you agree on a question that the two of you will answer. That's step 1, the question. Step 2, write. This is what you're going to do. You're going to write a love letter to your spouse answering and addressing that specific question. You're going to set a timer for 10 minutes. This is key. Set a timer for 10 minutes. When you start the timer, you begin writing a love letter. Dear, whatever your spouse's name is. When I write my letter, it's Dear Tammy. Just like any other love letter. I begin this love letter, start my timer, begin the love letter, answering and addressing the question that we agreed upon, and I do not stop writing until the time has run out. When I hear that little beep, 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 beep go off, I'll finish out my sentence, and then I'll close the letter with, I love you, Tommy, or something similar to that. So I write the whole 10 minutes addressing the question, but I write it as a love letter to my spouse. So, first step is question, second step is write, third step is together. This is when you come back together, because when you write, you can do that separately, you can do that anytime during the day. Doesn't matter, as long as you have it done before you agree to come together. You agree on a time to come together to exchange your letters to each other. Again, you will take a timer, you will set it for 10 minutes. When you start the timer, you have your letters exchanged, you read through each other's letters. Twice. Once with your head to get the information. The second time with your heart, trying to figure out, better understand what they meant by what they said. So you're doing it rationally and emotionally. Okay? A lot of times when we talk about communication, we talk about removing the emotion. That's not how dialogue works. With dialogue, you use both the brain and the heart. You use the logic, the rationale, and the emotion involved in the relationship. After you read through the letters, you go on to the next step, which is discuss. You discuss the letters. You discuss the content of the letters. You discuss the question with each other, allowing each one to have time to talk. Remember to use I statements rather than you statements, because this is not a time to accuse your spouse. It is not a time to beat your spouse up. It's a time to communicate with your spouse through writing and through speaking. Once you have gone through those steps, the final step is to agree on the next question. What is going to be your next question? Now, I'll tell you what my wife and I do. We develop a list of questions and we just kind of go through the list. Matter of fact, just last night, I typed up a list of 52 questions. And so for 52 days, approximately, because we usually skip one day a week, but for 52 dialogue times, we already know what our next question is going to be. So we don't have to go through the process of agreeing. We've already agreed we go through this list. If you want to go through a list, if you want to agree on a question at a time, either way, that is fine. That depends upon you. Alright, so did you get those 6 steps? Again, just want to run through these so you get them the 6 steps. The first one is question. Decide on a question that you're going to answer. Number 2 step is write. Write a love letter to your spouse addressing the question that you all agreed upon. Third step is together. Agree on a time to come back together with your letters. Then you exchange your letters and you go into step 4, which is read the letters twice. Read through each letter twice. Once with your head, once with your heart. The 5th step, discuss those letters with each other. Talk with one another. Communicate with one another. It's an opportunity to be able to share with each other in a safe place, in a safe setting. And then step 6 is agree on what your next question is going to be. My wife and I have done this exercise. We've gone through dialogue 6 days a week for almost 4 years now. We skip one day a week just as a break, I guess kind of a dialogue Sabbath, if you will, just to kind of take a break. But the other 6 days of the week, for almost 4 years, we have done it consistently. We have never skipped more than one day a week in almost 4 years. Even when we are apart, because sometimes I'm traveling or she's traveling, and we can be miles apart, we do it over the phone. We do the same thing over the phone. A little adjustment, we read the letters to each other instead of actually reading them. But we still do the dialogue. We don't allow anything to keep us from doing this because this has transformed our marriage. And I do not use that word lightly. Matter of fact, transformed is probably not strong enough word for what this simple tool has done for our marriage. Even times when we're traveling and we get home late, there's been times we've been up at 2 o'clock in the morning doing our dialogue time because it is that important to us, because it's made that big a difference in our relationship. And I believe if you give it the time and focus and effort, that it will make a difference in your relationship as well. Hey, in the comments section of this video, we're going to give you 10 questions to kind of get you started. If you want to use those, you don't have to, but they're there just to make some questions easy for you to find. We'll also give a list of a couple resources where you can find additional questions. Or if you want some of the questions that my wife and I have gone through, we've been doing this for almost 4 years. We've developed a long list of questions. We can send you some of those. Just send me an email at TommyLanham@TommyLanham.com. Again, TommyLanham at TommyLanham.com. Send me an email asking for dialogue questions, and I will send you a list of questions. I want to help you to do this practice with your spouse because I believe it can make as big a difference in your relationship as it made in my relationship. And remember, in my opinion, the single most important secret to a great relationship is communication. And also, in my opinion, the single greatest tool to great communication is this dialogue exercise that I just shared with you. Hey, continue to grow in your relationship because this is what I've come to understand. If your relationship with your spouse is good, the rest of your life is pretty good. If your relationship with your spouse is not good, it tends to negatively affect every other area of your life. So give the time, effort, and attention to your marriage, to your relationship with your spouse, because I believe that is the ultimate way to feed our enthusiasm. After over a decade of marriage, we found ourselves in a very ugly place.
Between careers, children, church, friends, and just life, we had drifted apart without even realizing it.
I knew something was wrong, but I wasn't sure what.
I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know how to fix it.
We'd been to seminars, conferences, counseling.
We were discussing a future that did not involve one another.
Then we learned two amazingly simple communication techniques.
We invest 20 minutes each day practicing these techniques that saved our marriage. We would like to teach you what we learned. It revolutionized our marriage and saved us from being just another statistic.
We now have a marriage we never dreamt was possible. Hey guys, if you enjoy the content that I've been sharing with you, please comment and let me know what resonated with you so that I can find that out. And plus, if there's anything else that you would like for me to cover, you can put that in the comment section as well. If you like this, please click on the like. If you'd like to be a part of the fellow enthusiast community, please click the subscribe button below.